The claim that we do not have a border issue, I think at this point, appears to be an out and out lie. And we understand that Biden is the current leader of this country. Biden is the current commander in chief. And a lot of folks are saying, well, listen, we had a border problem under Trump. We had a border problem under Obama. Well, now that we got migrants all over this country, and the Biden administration is suggesting that they are willing to give working rights to 500,000 migrants at once. Is this the right path going forward? Now, as a liberal, I have to ask that question. That is 500,000 people all at once competing with other Americans for labor. And we understand that any immigrant is willing to let an employer cut corners anywhere they see fit. So if you're competing with an immigrant that is not even in the country here legally, but certainly not here to do anything other than pursue the American dream in any way, fashion, or form, you know they will work for less than you. You know they will work harder than you. You know they will work longer than you. You know they will complain less than you. Is that fair to the American worker to now have folks competing with 500,000? Most of them are from Venezuela, but other countries. But nevertheless, the Biden administration has stated they are going to give working rights to the migrants that are in this country illegally. Or illegally, legally, however you want to pronounce it. But they didn't come through the normal course of action. So I want to get the take from both the left and the right. How do you feel about that? It's 500,000 people all receiving working rights at the same time. And as I stated, they will certainly work harder than any American you can come up with because they have a hell of a lot more to lose and gain than any of us. You think they don't mind working for $7 an hour? They would happily do that. We're bitching about the minimum wage, suggesting it should be $15 an hour. You're not likely to hear any bitching from them at all. So what does that do to the current environment for working Americans? Now, since COVID, to get people back to work, to incentivize Americans to go back to work, salaries have actually went up. We can talk about inflation, price of gas, and things like that going up to match it, but we didn't have 500,000 migrants to compete with. That's likely going to hurt the salaries in those areas where those folks are. So no denying that's going to have an effect. So we're talking about, in regards to the border, do you believe President Biden, us liberals, are taking the best path, the best course of action forward, or maybe Trump or another person on the right side of the aisle might be a better choice, at least in regards to the border? Because this is what we've seen so far from President Biden. Anyhow, as always, the program is and shall forever remain MAGA friendly. This is what we're going to be talking about today. Tap your screen, get your boy up to 5,000. You know what I always ask. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary, but we are talking about the border because polls are showing that President Biden is continuing to fall in the polls. They even have an ABC News poll out right now showing Trump ahead of Biden. Can you believe that? That Trump is now ahead of Biden. Talking about these border issues. Every American may find this to be undesirable, letting 500,000 people in, giving them all work rights all at the same time. So what do you think? Looking in the comments, Trump was stealing babies from migrants. Ouch. Trump bastard. Okay. Stealing babies from migrants. You got to elaborate more on that. You can't throw something. How was Trump stealing babies from migrants? That seems to be a bit harsh. Biden's border is hurting United States citizens, says Tina. It doesn't look good. It does not look good. But I want to hear from you folks. I'll go straight to the box. Traveler, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. So 500,000 migrants all at once. What say you?
You know, I've talked to you before. I drive truck. Um, so me and my wife have been seeing a lot of things that people don't see. I mean, we were down in I'm up north now, but we were down in San Antonio just the other day, and we were in the business district, and there was a huge warehouse, and I mean it was big. And I'm sitting there, I'm like sitting on the side of the road waiting, and I'm like looking at all these buses. There's 13 buses. I didn't know what it was. I'm gonna be honest. So I asked the guy, I said, "What the hell's going? What's up with that?" No, that was not one truck in that one semi truck or trailer in
What
that
were these?
industrial building.
Were these buses to send
They
migrants
were,
up north?
yeah, they were warehousing them. They are literally taking them in there at night. They're putting them at that warehouse. The buses come in, they load them up, and they're gone.
Gone
They're shipping
where?
them out. I know, all over the place.
Yeah. How do you
All
feel?
over
Let me interrupt and ask that. And by the way, Crystal, appreciate that lemonade. Always a pleasure. Thank you. How do you feel about the idea of busing migrants from Texas in the same form you're mentioning, warehousing them and then just shipping them all over the country? Do you think Governor Abbott is doing the right thing with that?
I don't think, well, he's got no choice. If you think about it, what can he do with all of them? Whereas, as a governor in one state specifically, no different than Arizona or anywhere else if it was happening, which is probably happening in all of them.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with that much of an influx is what people don't understand. And when everybody complains and says it's not happening, I'm telling you, we live it every day when we're out there. We see it all over the country. And everybody's saying that, oh, well, you got to have sympathy for these people. Look, I have sympathy for anybody that wants a better life. But people need to understand it's not what they think. 90% of the time we see buses unloading in truck stops, side freaking small towns. They're all men, no women, no children coming off the buses. Of all ethnicities coming off, and they're all men between the age of 20 and
But
like
what if
35 years old.
what if it's a man, a father, a husband that has told his wife, I'm going to see if I can go to the new land and make a better life for you and then come back and send for you? I mean, keep in mind, when Christopher Columbus came to this country, it was on a boat full of all men.
Well, sure. See, here's the thing. I don't blame them for what's going on. I blame this administration because they're not stopping it and they're not doing anything to vet it. They're letting you. They're telling them to come. And if people don't believe it, look at what he just did. They just passed that thing. They're letting Israelis come here on flights, and they don't have to have visas now.
So let me ask you this.
That's concerning.
In the comments, I saw someone state or claim that neither Trump nor Biden could fix this. How do you, if you had to give a suggestion, how do you think this could be fixed? Certainly in the position it is right now where you got migrants all over the country, a hell of a lot of them in sanctuary cities. How do you think it could be fixed now? We can blame Biden or whoever we want to blame for how it got this way. But in this current state, how do you think we could fix this?
I think the Senate and the Republicans, Democrats, both. I think they need to shut their damn mouths. They need to sit down together and say, "This is it. We're done," and close the effing border completely. Close off every flight coming in here that is not legal with permits and visas. They need to have legal documentation to come in, the same as we used to have. Now, there's people from all over this world that come here. They wait a year in line. I've got family members that waited to come here.
It's a lot longer than that.
Years.
It's a lot longer than that for some.
Well, even when they get here, understand, and like I said, but I'm still for doing it right. I've got family members in my family from Venezuela that it took, after getting married to my niece, it cost him $12,000, but 12 years he came back and forth. Every year, and every time he went back home on the work visa, it got easier and quicker every time to where he could go and be back within a week.
So what about
It took him a
folks,
long time to get there.
when we suggest coming here legally, what is the avenue for someone who does not have the funds or the, because it costs a lot of money to migrate here legally. What is the avenue
Well,
for?
want to do it illegally, though.
Um,
Because they're paying a lot of money to get shipped up through there.
Okay, but let's take your route in your suggestion in regards to coming here legally. What is the avenue for somebody that does not have enough money to come here legally?
I don't think it should be based on the money. I think that to apply for the application to come here, I think should be it shouldn't be no high dollar shit.
Okay.
I mean, they should be able to go and spend $50 for an application and say, I want to go here and this is what I want to do. I want to try to find a job, or or even there's a lot of people that I've met from Jamaica and other areas that work in hotel industry, and they get their jobs. They apply for them online and get them before they get here. They put the company down on their thing, but they do it. They do it on that 6 month and they go home.
Let me.
I've got a lot of people.
I got one other question, particularly Venezuela, which is where a large portion of these folks are coming from. They currently have no government at all. So when we suggest come here legally, and we need to vet and make sure the people coming in this country are not terrorists or a danger to this country, what is the path going forward for somebody coming from a government that does not exist, so there's no way to do a background check on them?
You know what, I don't know. But that's so hard to try to figure that out. I mean, there's got to be something where they can go online. I think that they should give them an avenue to fill out an application, take photos of their stuff and then prove it when they get to where they need to be to do it.
Yeah.
Because I think, like I said, everybody should have a right to a better life. And
how about citizens? How about citizens on the right? Like in the comments, Patricia Carson, when I asked you about folks who come from a country that no longer has a government and you can't do a background check, Patricia Carson says, not my problem. How do you respond to folks like that? Well, if you can't do a background check, not my problem. Too bad, so sad.
That's hard, isn't it? That's hard. It's because the government, we've got to have rules. But like you said, what if they're down there and their government is so torn up, which we've got a lot of countries that way.
Yeah.
But most people have some form of identification. Problem is, you're saying is there's no way for us to check their government shit to see if they are bad or good.
Right.
And there are a lot of very dangerous young individuals in Venezuela. But you know what? That's a part of their environment. They were brought up. A lot of kids down there had no homes. They've been living on the streets. They commit crimes to survive. I mean, that they joined the gang. It's a part. That is what they live.
Yeah. The funny thing is, though,
it's not their fault.
The funny thing is, though, you and I, regular couple guys having this conversation, and you and I pretty much have made it clear. This is a very, very difficult problem to solve. Compassion, perhaps, regardless of how you look at it, certainly when they're coming from a country that gives you no way to perform a background check, you're going to have a lot of folks like Patricia in the comments like, well, that's too bad. But I got to move it on, traveler. Appreciate you coming in. Good talk.
No problem.
Absolute. Absolute. All right, looking in the comments, 5,000 Taliban prisoners. What is that in reference to? Now, as my last caller rightfully stated, it's a lot of bad people south of the border. Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, Colombia, wherever they're coming from, Mexico, you name it. However, I have always thought it was wrong and unfair to suggest one of the biggest worries of the southern border was Taliban coming across. It's just that is there any instance where we have caught an immigrant coming across the border from the south that was a Middle Eastern terrorist? Where did that come from? Because that is like, where the hell did it come from that we have a fear of Middle Eastern terrorists entering the country from the south? Looking in the comments, it's a lot of people, a lot of bad people in SC. What is SC? South Carolina? What is SC? What else are you gonna hang up to make them feel comfortable? I don't quite get that. We have a homegrown terrorist issue. Okay, I get it. Jay Glass is saying we already have a homegrown terrorist issue, and he's more concerned about that. Such as, the FBI saying that there is a rise in white supremacist outfits. That would be homegrown terrorism. Not to mention some of the Middle Eastern descendants living in this country. Some might consider them to be homegrown. Is that more of a concern, at least from a terrorist standpoint, than something coming across the southern border? Let your boy know in the comments. We will go back to the box. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 10,000 likes. Got about a little bit under 400 of you folks in there. That helps out the algorithm, brings in more MAGA. You could be any damn where you want to be on TikTok. I do appreciate the fact that you're here. Program is and always will remain MAGA friendly, but liberals are welcome as well. We'll keep it moving. I actually want to talk to this person because I just mentioned her name in the comments. So I'm going to bring up Patricia Carson. We were talking about coming from a country where you cannot perform background checks. Patricia, what say you? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I saw you in the comments. We talked about the potential of an immigrant coming to America from a country where you cannot do a background check on them due to them not having a government. What was your opinion on that?
I'm trying. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Good. Go ahead. I'll answer anything you want to answer.
Okay. I'm talking about the opinion you stated when an individual comes from a country where you cannot do a background check. What is your take on that?
Then you can seek political asylum. That's first. You can go that route.
But if they...
But these men are being sent to the military. I'm at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, so I get to see it firsthand. And I also want to know, where did all those 20,000 Afghans go that I watched? Where did they go? Anybody know?
20,000 Afghans that were brought here from Afghanistan, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now they were helping in Afghanistan. They were helping the United States at risk to their lives.
No, I'm going to tell you what. I've got pictures. I've got videos. I met them myself. They were identified by a band, a wristband. Only. No COVID testing, which I don't really care because I'm not vaccinated and I'm not going to be. But none of them. I spoke to them myself, and the only reason they left here was because the Muslim men were raping all the young girls. Where did they all go? That's what I want to know. They were allowed to shop with our soldiers during COVID in the commissaries with soldiers and families. What kind of crap is that?
Now,
I'm sorry.
Where are you at in America? I'm just curious.
I'm in Fort McCoy, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Tacoma, Wisconsin.
Okay. Huh.
So, you know what? Go ahead.
Were they potentially sent back to Afghanistan? Were they allowed to stay here in America?
No, you know what? Those wonderful white buses that brought them here, bust them out in the nights. And you know what? I got pictures and videos of it all. You know what? I see it firsthand. So I want to know.
Is it possible? Is it possible that the ones you saw were brought here because they were helping the American government at risk to their lives back home in Afghanistan?
You know what? I will say that my fiance, who was killed by a drunk driver on Good Friday, is a 22-year Marine Army and retired. He felt that too. But you know what? The people that we witnessed there, they weren't Afghans. He identified them because he had 4 combat tours. A lot of them were Russians, Chechens, and we spoke to them all and took pictures. So what the government's showing you, what the government's telling you isn't true. And it's not true. All you got to do is turn on your phone and look at the border and tell us we don't have a border problem. Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me ask you what I asked the last caller. What do you think we should do as far as a country to control the border? With so many people already in this country.
I think you need to there's got to be intensive background checks because America's first. We have to protect our families, our children, our country because we're here first. And I'm a Native American from the Saludo tribe in Mesa, Arizona. So trust me, I see all views on it, but trust me, my children and my grandchildren that are coming right now, I want to know who's coming into this country. Not just come in and slap a wristband on them with a number and tell me, oh, it's okay. And why should we have to abide by these rules? And these people coming across the border don't have to have any of these rules. They're not, everybody else was mandated for the COVID vaccine and all this, but none of them are. None of them.
You know, I totally get your concern, and to some degree, I agree with you on quite a bit of this. But I have to ask this question because what you're saying is quite common. Do we really have a major issue, though, of people coming into this country and doing Americans harm?
Yes.
We do.
All the
Afghans?
information- all of them. We have a major problem with the cartel sending the fentanyl over the border. What do you think all these men are doing? What do you think their bracelets on their arm are for? The money they owe the cartel. These are the people that you need to know. And if you really look deep into it, you find out how many of them are killers, murderers that they have caught and let them go. And they're still here. I mean, I have firsthand because I have first knowledge of the military because I'm around it.
Right.
I see it. And I was in Arizona recently. I've seen the border myself. I was there myself. I don't want to talk about things I haven't witnessed, but I've witnessed it myself. And where I'm from, it got so bad. My fiance couldn't even leave me in the car because there was so many coming to the door, pounding on my window. Very dangerous
Wow.
people, and they weren't just Mexicans. They're because I don't have anything against anybody immigrating. I welcome everybody that wants to do it legal. And you can also be sponsored by the military if you are not a citizen. They can sponsor you. My fiance, with his 4 combat tours, sponsored many people and made them citizens of the country. But he stood up for what was right. You do it the legal way. We don't need these criminals and all these kind of people coming in and hurting our people.
So I think I kind of know where you're going with this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So when in regards to securing our border and protecting America first policies, is Trump the best option going forward? Or, I mean, is it maybe time for Biden to step aside?
I'm going to tell you that I absolutely think that Trump's been slammed in every single aspect. I don't think at this point we are up against Trump and Biden, and if it comes down to it, absolutely Trump's going to fix it. We didn't have this problem when the wall was being built. We weren't having this. You can research yourself and find out how much crime, how much drugs, you know.
But what about the caravan? Wait a minute. When you say we didn't have this problem, what about the caravans? Wasn't Trump also saying during his tenure that Middle Eastern men were coming in through the border? They had caravans, so to speak. There was a problem doing.
Okay, and that's why the wall was being built that Biden tore down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do
if that wall had been built and the security measures had been put in place and allowed to continue, we wouldn't be where we're at.
So why do when it comes to illegal immigration, so many folks suggest that most folks in this country illegally did not come by way of just simply walking through the desert where a wall would stop them. They believe they came through a visa and overstayed it.
You're right, and a lot of them aren't coming, but a lot of them are going through the rivers, Arizona, Texas. They're crossing it. Well, right now they're free to cross anywhere. There's nothing to stop them right now. I mean, you know, anybody that's watching TikTok can pop on and check it, take a real good look for themselves. I mean, you don't have to be blind to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to find solutions, but you're not going to find them with Biden in office.
What do you think Trump would do? 500,000 of them are already here, about to get work rights. What would Trump do?
I'm not Trump, so I can't say, but I can guarantee you that he would straighten up the Border Patrol for number one, because that's a big problem. And if you research and you look at there's a lot of tapes out there showing you that the Border Patrol agents are frustrated. They're tired. They're sick because they're just being told to let them pass. Just let them pass. Just let them pass. So for one thing, you've got to strengthen the Border Patrol agents and give them more power and more authority to take control of that, because they're our first line of defense right there.
So, like, remember when Obama was allegedly separating families just like Trump? So if all of a sudden we build a wall and they just come up to the wall and try to climb, break through or whatever, and we arrest them, apprehend them or whatever, couldn't we still have a major problem of simply having a warehouse so many lawbreakers?
Well, that's something that the lawmakers of this country are going to have to work a better plan on, because there should be laws for a certain time period. And you know, it's really sad that we're at this problem, but this wasn't brought on by Trump. This is brought on by Biden.
Yeah, I do believe that Biden, you know, having an aura of being more sympathetic certainly made more of them try to come. But they clearly were trying to come under Trump, Obama, and Bush, and all the rest of them. But I that's where the issue I have is that if they're coming from Venezuela that has no government in place, if we capture them here, what do we do with them? You can't deport them back to a country that doesn't exist.
Well, that's immigration. Like I said, there's all different kinds of different ways to immigrate to the United States. It doesn't have to be the way they are, and I don't think predominantly the people that are crossing right now, I don't think they're people that are out to better this country. That's my feeling.
But
God bless them. God bless them, and I pray for them. I don't have anything against anybody immigrating. There's nothing about that. We want to welcome good people in the country. We welcome everybody. But like I said, without any background checks, without anything, I'm sorry, I'm going to protect my family and my children first. And that's where I'm at.
all right, fair enough, Patricia. I called you on. You held your own. Come on back anytime.
All right. Thanks, sir. Have a wonderful day.
You too. You too. All right, looking in the comments, folks, and I guess there's no way to sugarcoat it. Patricia's opinion is very common. Up to and including some liberals are now suggesting that Biden is failing at the border. Biden's numbers are starting to go south of Trump's. You can be damn sure the border is part of that reason. But when it comes to those two men going forward, who do you believe has the best method of operation for this country between Biden and Trump? Strictly on the border alone, is there anyone that believes that Biden is a better candidate for border security, protecting America, than Trump? If so, state in the comments why. Nevertheless, look at it in the comments. Biden is failing everything in this country. Consuelo, that's kind of harsh. Everything to the point where Biden is not doing a damn thing right at all. That's pretty harsh. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 15,000. Seem to be getting a bit raspy on the voice. Looking in the comments, someone said, I wanted to see that. Somebody said 91 felonies. Is obviously talking about Trump. Trump mortgage companies failed. What does that have to do with the topic at hand? Is mortgage companies fail? Looking at what did Biden do since he's been in office? His germ life, infrastructure bill, CHIPS Act. There hasn't been any Black Lives Matter rallies and riots in the street. There's been some good. People are back to work, from COVID and pandemic. Wages are up, even though inflation in the economy is up too, but it's not all bad. Come on now. Everything about the Biden administration is not bad. There are some good things. Looking in the box, we'll keep it moving sight beyond sight. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Talking about securing the border, Biden versus Trump. Biden's poll numbers, according to an ABC poll, Biden is now doing worse in terms of being reelected than Trump. What say you, Sight Beyond?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
I mean, it's a tough situation, again, because, I don't think we really look at all of the issues that lead to the border crisis. I think a lot of people just see it, and, of course, the president is always to blame. But if you look at the issues of why people are coming, again, like you just said, we have worldwide inflation. America tends to do better under the inflation. So if you're coming from a country that is totally impoverished, and then you add high inflation on it, you're going to see.
Well, let me ask it to you this way: if Trump was serving his second term, do you think the border issues we're facing currently would still be the same?
I would say yes. I think Trump has not proven that he could navigate any crisis. He didn't do good with COVID. And, I'm not confident that he can navigate a crisis. I think Trump's whole spiel would just be to stop it, which is not feasible, right?
Right.
So his tactic would have been something that may not have been constitutional, may not have been lawful, but that would have been his approach, right? He would have done. Trump is a master of looking at what the
Okay, I don't know what just happened, but my TikTok app locked up. I didn't get kicked off. I didn't get dropped. I don't know what the hell happened. I'm trying to figure this out. Appreciate you folks that are watching on YouTube. We see what the hell's going on. Can you guys hear me at all?
type of legalities that either he can.
I'm actually on the outside of my own damn live. Something's really going wrong here. Okay, I'm gonna have to reset everything.